So, over the past year, I've spent a good deal of time kind of doing a spiritual search, soul searching, if you will. Um, I had a good bit of here and there spiritual teaching growing up through Christian religion. I've been to a lot of different churches and heard a lot of different points of view on the Christian faith. However, I was searching for something to bring me calm and peace on a day to day. I found a lot of anxiety and just frustration, a lot of frustration, just with the daily, and I noticed everybody's going through the same thing. It's like the human condition, stress all the time, and with technology it just gets, multiplied. We're just constantly, there's always another problem, to deal with in life all the time. It never ends, and you don't find any kind of serenity or peace. And I was kind of searching for something to, give me a greater understanding of how to find that. And so I started looking deep into other ways of thinking, other spiritual texts, other religions, other points of view, and it's done a lot for me. Just finding the commonalities in religions and even outside of religion, just with philosophy and just different thought, different ways of thinking. And I wanted to share with you some of the books that I've read over this past year that have really brought me to a more enlightened sense of being. So I'm going to share with you these books, and maybe you can, if you're searching for something like that, if you're searching for peace or tranquility or some sort of spiritual guidance, maybe these can be of help to you too, because they've been a huge help to me, and it's kind of like where I started my spiritual journey for enlightenment, just outside of what I was used to. And it was very uncomfortable at first, and but it made a huge difference in the way I live my life. So without further ado, here are the books. Alright, so here is my rundown. My 12, these are I've read much more than 12 in the past year, but these are ones that really stuck with me, and I would recommend to other people if you're kind of looking for something else, something deeper than the day-to-day and the normal encouragement or self-motivation or self-improvement type message. If you're looking for something spiritual, these are the books I would recommend. This is where you should start. So obviously I started off with the New Testament. That's I'll go ahead and list that one first, because I grew up on the Bible, on Christian beliefs, and the teachings of Jesus. What's great about it is how many religions, starting way back from before the time of Buddha to Jesus and Muhammad and other prophets or teachers, it's really pretty much it's the same message. It's just different ways of expressing it. And so what I grew up with has the message there. And I think you can learn a lot from reading in the New Testament, which the New Testament is more so the life of Jesus and his teachings, and what he did from through the eyes of other people around him. So that's number one. I would suggest that you take a look at the New Testament, and even if you don't read the entire New Testament, you should look into what did Jesus teach. Okay, after that, the first book that really got me on this path over this past year
There's actually two of them here, but I started with The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And that really kind of led me into wanting to know about other faiths, other religions, and other outlooks. The Power of Now is basically about how all important the present moment is, and how staying present can keep you centered in your life and basically bring you peace. It's a really deep book. Most of these books I listen to in an audio version, so I would suggest that, but maybe you're not an auditory learner. But I learn very well through hearing a message rather than just reading it. So, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and then he had a follow-up book called A New Earth. A New Earth it's similar, it's just kind of expanding on the message of The Power of Now and bringing it to like a global perspective and how we as a species can evolve or become enlightened as a whole. So I'd really suggest that to you. And then through Eckhart Tolle, he mentions a lot about the teachings of Jesus, he mentions a lot about the teachings of Buddha. So that led me into wanting to see what the Buddhists had to say, to see what their teaching was like. And so the next book I went into was Buddha Standard Time by Lama Surya Das. And this book is amazing because not only does it kind of give you a little intro into what the Buddhists believe, but Lama Surya Das is a Lama, and he was an American, and he went over and learned and studied Tibetan Buddhism for several years, 10, 20 years, became a Lama, which is a teacher, and kind of brought that message back to the United States. And he wrote this book, Buddha Standard Time, and it's about similar to what Tolle talked about, which is living in the present moment, staying in the now, and basically it's ways to slow down time, slow down your life, because time is relative. If you notice, depending on what you're doing, time may go fast, way too fast. Time may be going really slow, and this is kind of a way. The Buddhists talk about the middle way, and this is kind of a way to balance your life, using meditation and other practices to use your time to the best of your ability and find peace. From then I went to, because they talk so much in this Buddha Standard Time about the Dalai Lama and the teachings of the Dalai Lama, I wanted to read a book by the Dalai Lama, and the one I chose was really great because it was about how all the world's religions are similar enough that we could come together and find peace together. So the book is called Toward a True Kinship of Faiths by the Dalai Lama, and he is a Buddhist holy man, and basically what he's saying is there are many paths to the source, to God, to presence, whatever you call it, and to judge that your religion is greater than another religion, or a lot of the things that people do and say, most religions are monotheistic, and they think that theirs is the only path. And this book is going into, it gives you it's really great. It takes several of the great world religions, and it goes pretty in depth into what their beliefs are and what their practices are, and then the book then goes from there and kind of tells how all of them have these things in common and how we can find common ground and really learn to work together rather than trying to work against each other, because we're all seeking the same thing. From there, I found a more Americanized teaching of the same kind of messages. Very similar to Buddhist teaching, the teachings of Eckhart Tolle, teachings from the New Testament. This guy is a motivational speaker, and you probably heard of him if you've ever been into self-improvement or motivation. He's known as the father of motivation, and that is Wayne Dyer. So the book I'm going to recommend, he has a ton of books. And Wayne Dyer passed away in 2015, I believe. He was 75 years old. And but just he devoted his life to motivating others and bringing spirituality to people. And he used a lot of these same principles that I've found in all of these books to help people find peace in their lives, find meaning in their lives. And so the book I chose is called Your Sacred Self, and that's by Wayne Dyer. And I would encourage you, even if you don't read that book, to look up Wayne Dyer, look him up on YouTube, watch some of his speeches, watch some of his the talks that he's had when he's been on TV shows or given some sort of talk or commencement. Or I would just really, I would really encourage you to check out Wayne Dyer. So then the next book that I read, I don't know if I read it in this order, but it's called Wisdom Energy, and it's some basic Buddhist teachings. Very short little book. It's by Thubten Yeshe. And this was good. This is really a lot about meditation. It was about how to find peace, and that's where all these books kind of lead you. It's about finding peace in your life and realizing truth. That we are not human beings on a human beings having some sort of spiritual experience, but that we are actually spiritual beings that happen to be having a temporary human experience right now. And so Wisdom Energy by Thubten Yeshe. So then I started realizing that there are some other teachings like here in the United States, and there's different kinds of churches, there's different kinds of, and I found A Course in Miracles by Helen Schuckman. And A Course in Miracles is basically it's taking a lot of these teachings. It mainly focuses on the teachings of Jesus, and it's kind of a modernized view of Christianity. But there's also some sprinkles of Buddhism and other religions in it. It's kind of A Course in Miracles is kind of focusing more on the teachings of Jesus rather than the doctrine of the Bible and the Old Testament. So I would suggest that. That's some heavy reading, though. It's it's a book that people who study A Course in Miracles, it's set up to study it over the course of a year. And you have certain readings each day. That's why it's set up like a course, like you're learning this message one day at a time. But and I didn't read it from cover to cover. I'm not saying that. It's sort of like the Bible in that it's very long and there's a lot of different messages in it. So I would suggest checking that out. And then I discovered a guy named Thich Nhat Hanh, and he is a Buddhist master, and he's written a ton of books too. He's one of the leading authorities on Buddhism when it comes to what people have written about it, and very popular author. The book that I read was The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching, and it really gives a rundown of the beliefs of Buddhism. From there, I wanted to know not only what the Buddhists believe, but why they believe it, and so I picked up the Dhammapada, and this book it's transcribed by Acharya Buddha Rakita, And it's basically what it is. It is just the sayings of Buddha, just the teachings of Buddha directly, direct quotes, the best that they could transcribe them. I guess they didn't actually start recording the teachings of the Buddha like on, writing it down for a couple hundred years after his death. And so there's always debate about, was it said exactly like this? Was this exactly how it was said? Was this the exact teaching? And Buddhism has changed so much through the years. There's many different sects who practice a little bit differently, but the message from the Buddha was it's just amazing. I would check this book out. Like I said, it's just supposedly direct quotes, and I really liked it. You can read it pretty quickly. It's a short book, and I would definitely look into that. If you find any kind of truth in Buddhist teachings, I would say go see what the Buddha actually said. And then from there, I discovered that there was another book, one of the first spiritual texts that we know of. It's one of the first things written, concerning philosophy and spirituality, that was before the time of the Buddha. So this was written, I believe it was like 100 years before the Buddha lived, and there's a lot of spiritual truth in it. This is the Tao Te Ching, or the Tao Te Ching, by Lao Tzu, or Lao Tzu. And this is supposedly Lao Tzu was actually he was a guy that Confucius actually respected and went to for, spiritual enlightenment. And I guess this is I didn't know this, but I found out, and I found that the Tao Te Ching, or the Tao Te Ching, through Wayne Dyer and his teachings. But a lot of spiritual truth there, a lot of philosophical thought there, and I don't know, I found it really enlightening. So and it's, like I said, it's very old text, so it's great to find such wisdom in texts that were written long before technology existed and our present way of life, so that still hold truth for today. So the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, and then that was book number 11, and book number 12 is actually a novel by Hermann Hesse, or Hermann Hesse. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but he wrote a book called Siddhartha. Now, he's not to be confused with the Buddha. The Buddha was, his name before he became the Buddha was Siddhartha, and he was a prince. Now, this book is not about him. However, it is about someone named Siddhartha that seeks enlightenment, and it takes you through his entire life and the things that he went through to find enlightenment. And I really enjoyed this book. I would suggest it to anybody that just, you want a book that's about spirituality, but it's not, some sort of religious doctrine. It's a really good book to learn from, and it's a novel, so you get to enjoy a story that you've never heard before, and go on the journey with this guy to become enlightened. So, all right, those are my books. There's 12 of them. If you guys have any books, any teachings that you could send my way that you think I could benefit from, please do so. Put them in the comments, because I'm always looking to learn more and expand my own wisdom, my own enlightenment. And if you've read any of these books, tell me what you thought of them. Do you think they're BS? Do you think they're helpful? And let me know if you've read any of them, or if you have anything that you think I could benefit from. And then one last thing I want to say is the biggest thing I learned through these teachings, and over the past year, is it's something that Wayne Dyer said, and it's an old thought. I actually can't remember it off the top of my head who said it originally, but the biggest thing that I've learned, and I think I took from this, and other people can take from it if they go on a spiritual path, is remember to be open to anything and be attached to nothing. So be open to anything and be attached to nothing. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you get some inspiration or some ideas of books you can read to go down your spiritual path. And like I said, anything you want to say, anything you want to tell me, anything you want to, if this video helped you at all, leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you thought. Alright, we'll see you next time.
Yeah.